Hi again, everyone. This is John Henry with Youth with a Mission in Ocean City, New Jersey, where YWAM Converge. And that is a ministry that we have begun for the purpose of helping university students primarily to get connected with missional organizations. And then with those organizations, they can complete a missions project that's unique to their skill set, their passion, their experience. And whether they're studying the arts or business, education, journalism, medicine, media, or more, they bring that gift set to that missional organization, whether it be a business, an NGO, a church, and they learn to make a difference while they're discerning their own calling to engage in the spheres of influence for the purpose of making disciples of nations. So with that, I'm doing 30 thoughts this 30 days of April. And this particular thought today is crushing. And it really comes from Luke 22 in the Garden of Gethsemane. It's a garden of the olive press. And that is a place of crushing. Jesus mentions gardens and seeds. You know, he gave the parable of the seed, the good seed that went into good ground. That ground is your heart. The variable in the parable of the sower is really the soil. It's not the seed. The seed's the same. The thing that changes is the soil. And Jesus alludes quite often to this notion of seeds being sown. When some Greeks wanted to see Jesus in John chapter 12, Philip brought them and Jesus said, now's the time for the Son of Man to be glorified. And then he said, unless a seed falls to the ground and dies, it remains alone, a single seed. That's a place where the seed goes into the earth, is buried into the darkness of the earth, and it heats up, cracks open, and the seed itself is no longer a seed. It becomes something new. And that which it becomes is for the strengthening of others. Jesus warned Peter at the Good Supper, or the Last Supper, and he said, Peter, you're going to deny me 3 times. Peter didn't want to even believe that. No, I'll go to prison with you. I'll die with you. And Jesus said, no, before the cock crows 3 times, before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times. When that final denial happened that night, and I think there was a glance, somehow in the scripture, there's a glance from Jesus' eye to Peter's eye. They were close enough to each other that when the cock crowed, Peter knew that this prophecy had been fulfilled and that he himself really is that person that he didn't know, that he needed to have his heart revealed in all his bluster, all his desire to do anything. He was actually not all that. And unless we are crushed to the point where we know who we really are in our weakness, then we can't have God's strength, the grace of God to come and strengthen us. And Peter needed to learn a hard lesson, and it was a place of crushing for him that night. So that when he returns, he could strengthen his brothers. The purpose of the crushing is not necessarily for every believer. Not necessarily. It seems to me from my reading that it's for those who are called to strengthen others. Jesus went through a crushing in the garden of the winepress, the Gethsemane garden. He prayed and his soul was in such anguish that great drops of blood fell from his brow. Even when an angel came to strengthen him, he continued to press into prayer to the extent that drops of blood came from his forehead. I can't imagine what that's like. except that I see the Son of Man, Jesus, the fullness of God in the human being person of Jesus of Nazareth, representing what it means to live a life of surrender, to be crushed in order that he could be exalted. Really, he's exalted and seated at the right hand of the Father because he was crushed. So that's my thought for today. I'm still pondering it. I believe God is saying, if you are called to lead, if you're called to strengthen others, then don't deny God the right to expose who you really are and to crush your heart so that you can receive grace to help, so that you can come boldly before the throne of God knowing who you really are, and that he can give you grace in order to help others. Thanks for listening. Tune in tomorrow. This is 30 days of 30 thoughts. And if you will, remember not to touch your face, wash your hands, clean surfaces, sanitize surfaces and doorknobs, and keep a safe social distance. We'll get through this coronavirus together. Again, thanks for listening.